So, all across Europe, a story is playing out in smoke and just scorching heat. We're seeing devastating wildfires raging across the continent's Mediterranean region. But here's the thing, they aren't happening in a vacuum. They are absolutely directly linked to this historic, record breaking heat wave. Okay, let's dive into this and really try to understand the connection between the flames we're all seeing and the heat that so many are feeling. To really get what's happening, I think we have to start on the ground. Let's talk about the people who are actually living through this whole crisis. Wow, I mean, the sheer desperation in those words, it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? They come from a Turkish farmer in the country's northwest, just looking at the damage after a wildfire tore through, destroyed her farm, and killed her animals. That one statement just captures this feeling of total loss. We're not just talking about land here. It's everything. It's livelihoods, it's history, and it's all literally going up in smoke. And look, this is not an isolated story. Over in Spain, an eyewitness near Madrid highlighted something truly terrifying about these fires. Just how fast they move. Driven by these strong winds, the flames were coming so quickly that hundreds of people had to get out with basically no warning at all. It just goes to show you how a threat that seems far away can suddenly be right on your doorstep.
Okay, so we see the fires, that's the dramatic effect, right? But what's the immediate cause? Well, this whole crisis is playing out under this massive, suffocating blanket of extreme heat that's just settled over the entire continent.
And I really want to stress this isn't happening in just one spot. The crisis literally stretches all across the Mediterranean. You've got Turkey, you've got Spain, you've got France. I mean, nation after nation is dealing with the exact same sweltering conditions. And that's the key thing to get here. These individual fires, they're all symptoms of a much, much bigger phenomenon that's affecting the whole continent. And the severity of this heat, it's just staggering. Seriously, this isn't your typical hot summer. We're talking about temperatures that are consistently soaring above 40 degrees Celsius. For those of us using Fahrenheit, that's over 104 degrees. These are record-breaking numbers, and they're pushing everything, buildings, power grids, and of course, people, to their absolute limits. And just the human toll of the heat itself is, well, it's immense. Someone in France, where they had the highest level warnings, put it perfectly. They just described it as suffocating. And that really gets at it, right? It's this oppressive feeling, this relentless stress on your daily life, on your health, just your well-being in general. So, okay, we've got intense heat on one side, widespread fires on the other. Now, experts are looking at this, and they're pointing to a really clear and pretty concerning pattern that connects the two. They call it a worsening cycle. And honestly, if you want to understand what's happening, you have to understand this cycle. So here's the basic idea. Think of it like a feedback loop. It's not as simple as heat causing one fire. No, it's that these hotter, drier conditions, happening year after year, are creating the perfect fuel for wildfires. And what that means is you get fires that are not only more frequent, but that burn with a kind of intensity we haven't seen before.
Okay, let's break that down. So step one, your baseline is just rising temperatures. That leads right to step two. Summers get hotter, yeah, but they also get way drier. All that moisture is just getting sucked out of the landscape. And that leads inevitably to step three. That dry landscape basically becomes tinder just waiting to ignite. And when it does, you get bigger, faster, and much, much harder to control wildfires. You see how each part of the cycle just feeds right into the next one?
All right, so we've seen the impact on the ground, we've talked about the incredible heat, and now we kind of get this cycle that's at play. So that brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial step, connecting all of these dots to what's really driving the whole thing. And this really is the big question, isn't it? What is making this feedback loop spin faster and more furiously every year? What's the engine behind these record-shattering temperatures?
Well, the reporting on this is pretty direct. The consensus among the vast majority of climate scientists is that this worsening cycle of heat and fire, it's being driven by climate change. So what we're seeing isn't just some random, unlucky summer. It's being presented as part of a much larger, long-term trend.
And all of this leaves us with a final and pretty powerful question. If these events really are part of a predictable cycle, and that cycle is being fueled by a warming planet, are these fiery summers just what we should expect now? Is this our new normal? It's a heavy thought, and it's one that kind of lingers long after the smoke clears.